Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and here are my impressions of the Brad Garlinghouse 60 Minutes interview. First of all, I thought Brad, as usual, did a really good job and represented the industry well. But I wrote down a couple of my thoughts. I think 60 Minutes just gave us a good reminder of how right we were electing Donald Trump. We just got a little flashback of the lies and propaganda we just got done living through. 60 Minutes is part of the snake whose head just got chopped off by the American people. The rest of the body keeps moving around for a while. And here's proof. You don't have to take my word for it. This is a rattlesnake. This one actually, the head actually bites its old body. What kind of creepy video. Watch him bite it. Oof. That is wild. But yeah, that's what we saw, and I kind of assumed that they would try a hit job, at least with half of it. That's nothing new. But what's important is this is what I wanted to take away from this. What's important is that they showed XRP, and they showed the XRP ledger and the recent gains. That's what gets people's attention. The American people, especially after this election, don't give a rat's behind about what some ex-regulator thinks he and his regulator buddies need to do to protect you from yourself, right? Because isn't that what John Reed Stark was on about? He was the ex-SEC guy. He's one of the guys that's been on X to be, to counter everything that the XRP family, previously Army, says online, and then I'll show you some more what he said. But to me, this is what was important. They flashed up the XRP ledger, and then here's another good clip from the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. Ripple, remember all those? Remember while the markets were down? Remember all of those supposed XRP influencers and the people that are supposed to be into Ripple and XRP and what they're doing? Remember all of them telling you that this thing's over. Ripple's abandoning XRP. And then this is literally them monitoring the XRP ledger in the 60 Minutes clip. Don't forget those folks that kept trying to convince you in the bear market that XRP was finished, they were abandoning it, and now they're just going to focus on the stable coin. I told you back then how stupid that was, that the idea that Ripple, who owns this giant mound of XRP, is going to just, we don't care about that asset anymore. We're just going to abandon it. That's the dumbest ass thing I've ever heard in my life. But those, like I've said before, many of those people know better, but many of them have an agenda, and they did it intentionally, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. But you've got to have integrity to be ashamed of yourselves, and I think that's pretty vacant in many of them. Everybody loved this, that will be turned into a meme, this Brad Garlinghouse face. I'm sure that's what Brad Garlinghouse looks like when he gets pissed. Everybody's wondering what he was thinking in that moment. Now, this is John Reed Stark that 60 Minutes had on. And let's remember, 60 Minutes is a part of the propaganda arm of all these lying, evil bastards that we just kicked out of office. 60 Minutes is just like CNBC, just like MSNBC, just like CNN, is a part of the whole machine. And you'd do a hit piece too if your party just got their butts handed to them. Okay, so they had John Reed Stark on to carry that torch for them. But here's what Brad Garlinghouse said. He said, crypto made its debut on 60 Minutes tonight. There's no doubt that these technologies will continue to become more and more mainstream with influence and reach that will only continue to grow. A few things I want to comment on after watching. I spoke with Margaret Brennan 60 Minutes for 90 plus minutes straight. When discussing the SEC's misguided lawsuit against Ripple, 60 Minutes shockingly left out that a federal judge ruled that XRP is not a security. Gensler's shill, John Reed Stark, knows better despite his comments that 60 Minutes chose to air. Lastly, to say crypto has no utility is exactly what the naysayers said about the internet in its earliest days, that it's nothing more than an illicit activity. How vastly they were proven wrong today. Even JP Morgan is coming around on blockchain. Conveniently, 60 Minutes also failed to mention that Ripple is doing billions of dollars of KYC transactions for our institutional customers, leveraging XRP to move money across border more efficiently than traditional payment rails. And then here's John Reed Stark's response to Brad Garlinghouse. And this guy, make no mistake, this guy was put on there to throw shade on the crypto industry, and now he's acting like, oh no, but I'm really on your side. I wish you and all the XRP supporters all the best, Brad. And as I mentioned in the 60 Minutes Online segment, lots of digital asset investors are friends of mine, including Scaramucci, who's a bad guy, my close friend of over 50 years, since we were 10 years old. I have often found that for many digital asset enthusiasts, their hearts are in the right place, and like Scaramucci, they honestly believe that the crypto era will usher in a bright future as well. I just happen to disagree strongly with that notion. Under any circumstance, much to my own personal dismay, the public's voice must be heard, and the SEC's crypto enforcement program should and will stop dead in its tracks, including the SEC's appeal of the Ripple enforcement action. As I told 60 Minutes, as passionate as I am about the systemic risks and dire externalities created by digital assets, I am even more passionate about the democracy and the need to respect election results. And then he goes on and on and on. But the bottom line is he thinks crypto's horrible, but he thinks that the will of the people is to bring in the pro-crypto regime, and he agrees with that. But my question to him is, well, then why would you, if you believe that and you now know what the American people want, why would you go on to try to scare them about the industry that you know that they want? What's the point of that? These are all, folks, these are all people that are the old guard. This is the problem that was the reason we needed to elect Trump, is to get rid of all of these people who have been entrenched in this government. And they all have one thing in common, folks. They think that the government can tell you, that the government needs to tell you what's good for you instead of you deciding what's good for you. That's the difference between us and them. And again, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, but you got to have integrity to be ashamed of yourselves. Now, I wanted to point out, I'm not playing the videos because this is probably all copyright. You can see there where they're showing the XRP ledger, that part of it, and then they talked about how the price had gone up. That's the part I like. But I also like that the X platform is correcting 60 Minutes and pointing out XRP has been ruled not a security. Then they did the same thing that Gary Gensler did. They tried to hold up FTX as the reason for the crackdown when FTX was working with Gary Gensler and all of his Democrat buddies in Congress. And so 60 Minutes tried to use that the same way Gary Gensler did, and they said Sam Bankman-Fried's fraud conviction at one of the largest crypto exchanges highlights the dangers of operating without proper oversight. And I said, hey, 60 Minutes, you forgot to mention that Sam Bankman-Fried's parents were heavily involved in FTX and not prosecuted. The mother ran a PAC for Democrats, and the father wrote Senator Warren's tax policy. Sam Bankman-Fried was sending money to Ukraine, which was ending up in the pockets of Democrat politicians. Oh, one more thing. Gary Gensler was having planning sessions with SBF and has never revealed the contents of those meetings. When are you going to do a story on this? And the answer is that they won't do a story on it because that would be exposing their friends, the Democrats. Trump wants a level playing field, folks.
We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world. And all I want to do is I want to have a level, fast, but fair playing field. You're subsidizing Canada.
Isn't that what we've been asking for years in crypto? Brad Garlinghouse had congratulated David Sachs on his appointment to be the crypto and AI czar in the White House. David Sachs, who is ex-PayPal Mafia, David Sachs thanks Brad Garlinghouse on X. Just wanted to point that out. Here's Charles Hoskinson talking about Ripple's real USD.
There were some technical discussions and some business discussions, and we also wish them well on RLUSD. You know, that's a major win for the XRP ecosystem. I really want RLUSD not only to succeed on XRP, but I'd like to see it become a multi-chain asset, go across the entire ecosystem, and it'd be a lot of fun to see if we can bring it to Cardano. So that was another part of the discussion.
There we go. Now here's a little bit longer clip. I want to see if there's anything else in this.
Started reaching out to other big parts of the industry and kind of fixing ties or making new ties. Can you kind of tell me more about that? Like what is the partnership or person that you've reached out to that you had the most exciting conversation with recently?
I'd say most recently David Schwartz and also Brad Garlinghouse from the XRP community. You know, we've had our differences in the past. You might have noticed that from time to time. But we just said this is stupid. Let's bury this hatchet. And we had a very productive, good conversation about our role, XRP's role, where the ecosystem is going, and potential collaboration points that we could work together on. In particular, it'd be very interesting to see if we can include XRP in Midnight's story. And there's some Cardano-related technology that could benefit XRP tremendously, like Marlowe, for example, which never really got the right product market fit with the Cardano ecosystem. But for a fixed function ledger like Ripple for XRP, it makes a lot of sense to pursue something like that. So there were some technical...
By the way, if you hear something that sounds like this, that's because I am taking my vitamins while you watch this video.
Discussions and some business discussions, and we also wish them well on RLUSD. You know, that's a major win for the XRP ecosystem.
Yeah.
You know, Circle and Tether, they kind of have a cartel, and together they control like 71% of all the economic activity on Ethereum, and the people that they bless do very well, and the people that they exclude harshly. And that's what happens when an oligarchy forms. And so it's really important that new stable coins that are in that have a lot of traction and momentum behind them, you kind of support that so it prevents one actor from gaining too much influence over the market, and the market can stay competitive. So I really want RLUSD not only to succeed on XRP, but I'd like to see it become a multi-chain asset.
There's the full clip. Okay, finally, you got to hear this. This is crazy Michael Saylor. Listen to this.
So the very simple idea is buy 20 or 25% of the Bitcoin network on behalf of the U.S. government, catalyze the development of that world reserve capital network, and then let all the Chinese and the Russians and the foreigners sell all their other assets and buy Bitcoin, and then the money flows into the United States. If you want to put a great twist on it, dump your gold, sell all the U.S. gold, buy Bitcoin, then the trade is free because you could buy 5 million Bitcoin for the cost of the gold. You will demonetize the entire gold asset class, and our enemies hold gold in their banks, so their assets would go to zero. Our assets would go to $100 trillion, and we would control the world's reserve capital network as well as the world's reserve currency network.
As usual, you're painting a grand and vivid picture.
So let me summarize what he just said. Because we don't like central banks and central banks hold gold, that means you should sell your gold. No, central banks may be bad, but that doesn't have anything to do with whether gold is a great investment long term for people to protect themselves. This moron saying these things is completely irresponsible. I believe history is going to call this guy a complete nut. It's fine to be into Bitcoin. I even own a Bitcoin. But trying to tell people it's going to replace gold is just straight wacko. And might be worse than wacko, because he might be like some operative that's been sent to do this. I've always thought Michael Saylor was an operative, by the way. This guy didn't just come out of nowhere and decide he's going to just Bitcoin, and put his whole business in Bitcoin. No. Okay, in DAIXRP.com, we're talking about XRP price, what the chart people are saying is about that, what they think's about to happen, and we're going to go over some of that. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.